They finally parted ways after he thrashed her. 5 days after they had separated, Sunmaya eloped with Gun Bahadur, Jaibir's close friend. 7 days later, Jaibir accepted Jari Khat, a penalty paid to a former husband by another man for taking his wife as his own, from Gun Bahadur. At the end of all this drama, Jaibir had been robbed of all zeal and contentment in life. His small, beautiful world was crumbling down into bits and pieces. The garden and its surroundings began to wear a desolate look. Cracks developed in the walls of his mud-plastered house and courtyard. The cattle in the cowshed began to turn scrawny and weak, and the goats and hens remained unattended and uncared for. The unused plough and harness began to rot and decay, and the woodworms began eating away the handles of the spade and sickle. Clothes drying on the clothesline turned stiff and dry, and for days there was no smoke curling out on the kitchen. He would return home from work and sit bundled up in the veranda for hours. It had become difficult to even recognize Jaibir. His hair, beard, moustache had grown wild and covered most of his face. He might have even turned half mad. After raining the whole night, the heavens had suddenly cleared up, stark and bright that morning. There was a chill in the air and a faint lingering shadow of darkness as Jaibir got up, picked up the earthen pot and headed for the water spring. He felt lifeless, without a whisper of joy in his heart. There was no spring in his steps, no meaning to his life, not even a bit. But somewhere in the recesses of his heart was an unabashed yet lurking hope. He yearned for a happy conjugal life, but was scared that something similarly painful would strike once again. What if he has to be separated from his love once again? If the one he thought to be his own were to become somebody else's? These thoughts haunted him incessantly. Without even a sufficiently solid reason, I have managed to kill my happiness, finish off my marital bliss, and destroy my life, he lamented to himself. For whom shall I work so hard? Who cares what I do or where I go? She, whose concern it should have been, has already left me. He walked on, the monologue raging inside him. I gave her so much love, did everything for her, at least did everything that was humanly possible. Yet she left me just because I gave her a little beating. Should I have even loved someone like her? He walked on, preoccupied with the latest development in his solitary life. He turned around at the melodious voice that called out to him. It was Jite's sister. She was carrying an artificial copper gagri in a bamboo doko and had come to fetch water. A lissom body with a smiling face. She had been attracted towards Jaibir right from the start. She'd tease him whenever they'd met. A beautiful girl in the prime of her youth, he was quite taken aback by her advances. Now why are you staring at me? Walk ahead or just let me pass, Nakkali said with a mischievous smile. It was only at this point that Jaibir finally felt sharp and awake, shaken up from his sleep. He tossed his hair, gave a loud yawn, began to walk ahead with a surprised This Pena is incorrigible. Let me pass. Nakkali propelled herself forward. Jaibir could feel the first stirrings of a new life inside him. He wanted to say something, but some unknown force seemed to have clamped his mouth shut. However, he didn't give away, and Nakkali couldn't move ahead. Both of them walked in silence for some time. Suddenly, an owl hooted from a tree overhead. Maybe she was actually frightened, or maybe she wanted to tantalize Jaibir. Nakkali sprang and clung to Jaibir with a frightened Abui! Jaibir too was startled. The earthen pot slipped from his hand. It hit a sharp stone and tumbled twice before shattering into a heap of innumerable pieces. Nakkali was overcome with fear and embarrassment, but a new enthusiasm was building up inside Jaybir. It was suddenly raining ambrosia on his parched life and his laugh to his heart's content. His unrestrained laughter was devoid of self-pity and compulsions. It was filled with unbridled joy. He said plainly, without a hint of any emotion, "It has broken just like its owner. Now there is no memory of hers left behind." He thought of something and picking up a piece of the earthen pot said, "Hey Sally, why are you so scared? How did it sound when it broke? Thug! But you are quite naughty. You startled me and look what you've done." He looked fully into her face and she returned his gaze with huge anxious eyes that looked like morning had just broken. Jaybir dropped the earthen piece on the ground and said, "Let's go to the water dhara and wash your face and hands. Then we can drink the cold fresh water. Let's go." "Let's go," Nakkali said in an impatient voice. "Okay then, let's go," Jaybir reiterated. Nakkali touched his shoulder once again and said, "Let's go." Jaybir moved ahead. "Now don't jump in fright again and knock me down." Nakkali didn't say anything. "I got late because I had to fetch water early in the morning. Bhauju had made millet chapatis and I was just moving out to collect firewood after eating one when your wife called out to me." Nakkali smiled and looked at Jaybir. "She said she wanted to come along with me. I waited, but she didn't come. Had she come, I would have gotten you two remarried." Nakkali laughed. Jaybir was chipping on a dry piece of wood with his kukri. He took off his dry shirt and placed it on a boulder nearby. On it, he placed a beating mungro which he had fashioned out of a flat piece of wood. Jaybir's 22-year-old body was stout and stocky, strong, sinewy, and well-toned. He was fair and had pleasing eyes and lips. Nakkali feasted her eyes on his beautiful body. Then she picked up his shirt and threw it in the water. "Jaybir, you take a bath while I wash the shirt for you," Nakkali said. "But how could Sister Sunmaya leave a man like you?" she added, sounding genuinely surprised. "Goon Bahadur isn't as good looking as you. Of course, he's fatter and taller and is a good talker and sings too." She got up and began to wash his shirt. Jaybir ruminated over what she had just said, and his thoughts went to the events that had occurred in his life for the last 10 days or so. Once again, he started thinking about Goon Bahadur's special qualities that had attracted his wife. To be fat and tall aren't signs of handsomeness, but that surely attracted a beautiful young woman. He himself was 5 feet tall and maybe even taller than that. And it's not good to be fat. Of course, he's a good talker. Now, there are some advantages of being a good talker, but Sunmaya herself didn't talk much. So she would be a mismatch with someone who talks a lot. A singer, yes, Sunmaya loved songs and Goon Bahadur sings lovely songs. He looked at Nakkali washing his shirt and a sudden thought crossed his mind. Yes, she does look a lot like Sunmaya. She sits in the same manner too. Except that Sunmaya's got a bigger body. They were even of the same age, but she talks less. She washes clothes in the same way. Suddenly, he felt the presence of people in front of him. He lifted his eyes and saw Sunmaya and her new husband. Sunmaya walked away, her head bent low, but Goon Bahadur stood there. "When did you come here, brother?" Goon Bahadur tried to hide his embarrassment with a question. "Oh, Jaybir replied. Quite early in the morning. Where are you going? To collect fodder for the cattle. And then there is firewood to be bought. The day is getting brighter. He began to walk away, and Jaybir noticed that he walked in the front while Sunmaya followed. She walked awkwardly as if her feet had been tied up with the shackles of guilt and shame. She turned back once and on finding Jaybir looking at her, quickly turned her face away. Nakkali joined them after wringing water from the washed shirt. You haven't taken your bath yet. Are you shy, just like a woman? She gave a hearty laughter. It's late now. I should take a bath. Let's go. He got up, adding, Why should I be ashamed? Those who should have been ashamed have just walked away. Hey, Bhena! How her eyes must have burnt with jealousy watching me wash the clothes she had earlier washed, Nakkali said in a somber tone. Jaybir was surprised at her seriousness. She looked at her eyes. Yes, she had become pretty serious. He had no anger towards Gun Bahadur. Neither did he have any ill will towards Sunmaya. He held himself responsible for what had happened and felt only a deep sense of regret. But now, looking at Nakkali's serious face and hearing her somber tone, he felt unsteady and frightened. It was only now that he felt that he had met his jar, the other man who had snatched his wife away. Nakkali picked up her bamboo doko and Jaybir picked up his braided namlo, with which he carried loads on his forehead. The sun had gone behind the cloud when Nakkali began to walk homewards. After a good many days, smoke once again escaped twice a day from Jaybir's house. The cow dung and the uneaten rotten grass had been removed from the cowshed. The hens got their daily feed and the goats were herded into their sheds. The plough and harness that had lain unattended on the fields were now standing against the wall where they should be. Only one thing was missing: the earthen pot that had broken in the morning. In its place stood 5 green bamboo containers. In a plate, some rice had been picked and cleaned, ready to be cooked. Jaybir entered his house. He was carrying some firewoods in his arms, which he slowly put down. The slanting rays of the setting sun had entered through the small window, and shadows of sugarcane leaves danced on his wall, and could hear her saying, You are the one who separated us, the one who got me beaten up so that you can marry him, isn't it? It was Sunmaya. Another woman added, This is what happens when your family sets you loose. You flirt with others' husbands. It was followed by expletives. What have I done with your husbands? If they talk to me, can't I talk to them? Nakkali's voice was mild. And how is Bhena related to you now? Aren't you ashamed of yourself, keeping an eye on a husband you've already abandoned? Nakkali's voice rose dramatically. What do you mean? You think I'm jealous? You 3/4? Sunmaya's shrill voice stopped here. After a while she continued. And I used to think she was my friend. But her voice trailed off again. Another voice commented, Hidden Caesars. Oh, well, yes, I am Hidden Caesars. So what? You've got only one yourself to blame. You must have done something rotten to have deserved that beating. You must have been making plans to elope with the other man, to have incurred his wrath. Why should I be interested in your affairs and what goes on in your house? You people and your good-for-nothing stupid husbands. There was a burst of laughter from the other woman and a sudden change in the heated atmosphere. Somebody was saying, Cool down, it's okay, JT. Let bygones be bygones and don't fight over the past. If your second husband gets to hear all this, you will get a second beating. That Jaibir Jetha is no longer yours. Let this Nakkali go with him if she wishes to. She will soon get a taste of all that you've endured. Nakkali walked away and came across the bamboo thicket. She will soon get a taste of all that you've endured. The sentence had left a sweet liquid sensation somewhere inside her. She didn't notice Jaibir standing among the bamboo trees. A storm of conflicting thoughts hit Jaibir on hearing what the woman had to say, and he briskly walked back home. The fire had gone out and the rice and vegetables remained uncooked. Once again, his thoughts went back to what he had just heard. He recalled the volley of words between Sunmaya and Nakkali and the somber face that Nakkali had made when Sunmaya had turned back to look at him in the morning. He got up and helped himself to water from the bamboo container. He gulped it down thirstily and lay on his bed. After so many days, he had lighted a fire in the evening to cook himself a meal. But in the end, he had to go to bed with an empty stomach. Bhena, Bhena, get up and eat your meal. How could you go to sleep hungry? Nakkali woke up Jaibir, shaking him. He was perplexed to see Nakkali so late in the night. Giving her a long searching look, he swept his eyes at his surroundings. What time is it? When did you come? I was returning after grinding the maize and found you sleeping, hungry. Look, I have already served your meal. Eat up. Jaibir looked at the meal in front of him and got out of bed. Why have you come here so late in the night? What will people think? Nakkali twisted her mouth. They'd probably say you've kept me. Is that impossible? I was passing this way when I saw your door open. I wanted to know what you were doing and found you asleep without having eaten your meal, so I cooked the food. Now eat. Jaibir sat down to eat. Nakkali began to relay what had happened earlier in the day. Just because I like you, does that mean I try and separate you and Didi? She says I separated you two, even made you beat her up. Does that make sense at all? Who's there? Jaibir peered out in the darkness. There was a sound from the veranda and a flash from a torchlight. Jaibir Dai! Goon Bahadur called out as he entered the room. Eh? He said in surprise on seeing Nakkali and stood unsteadily at the door. Nakkali stood there perplexed, not knowing what to do. Jaibir seemed neither startled nor embarrassed, neither scared nor angry. He continued to eat and said in his usual voice, Come, sit on the mat. Goon Bahadur kept looking at Nakkali as he sat on the mat. She began to clear the dishes after Jaibir finished his meal and went out to wash his hand. He then pulled an empty gunny bag and sat on it. He picked up some betel nuts pieces from a brass plate nearby and put one in his mouth before offering it to Goon Bahadur. I had fallen asleep. But where were you going? Nakkali picked up the dirty utensils and carried them outside to clean. In an affected tone, Goon Bahadur said slowly, Oh, nothing. I had gone for a walk and came over when I saw your light. Jaibir said, Are we going to quarrel over something as useless as a woman? Do you take me to be like the others? Do you take me as your jar? No, nothing like that. I had told her several times to go back to you, but later on, a moments of rage can destroy a lot. At least I think so. I don't know. I shouldn't have given her a Bhauju's relation in the beginning. Goon Bahadur lamented. But I'm not angry at all with you two. Yes, I was angry earlier, but now it's gone. Jaibir tried to ease Goon Bahadur's guilt. We were so close before, such close friends. Even now, nothing wrong has actually happened. Drew drop in once in a while, Jaibir added sadly. Nakkali entered the room and Gun Bahadur got up to leave. I must leave now. It's very late. You all stay well. He stepped out in the darkness, and after some time the sound of his footsteps disappeared in the night. Nakkali looked at Jaibir, her eyes glittering with mischief. Without a word, she picked up her lamp and walked homewards. It was only then that it dawned upon Jaibir the oddity of the situation, the implication of being caught in the night with a woman who was not his wife. He understood Gun Bahadur's embarrassment. Oh no! What must have Gun Bahadur thought of me and Nakkali? He began to laugh in the darkness. Dawn was just breaking when Jaibir carried his empty bamboo vessels to fetch water. He heard the tinkle of bangles behind him and turned around to see Nakkali nudging aside Sunmaya and moving forward. Putting her own pot on the ground, she took Jaibir's container and placed it under the flowing water. As the water filled up, she gave Sunmaya a proud smile and a triumphant look.